Hey guys, welcome back to Doc Lil Talks Comics. And I know that I said I was going to try to do the Wizard retrospective in order, but I just couldn't wait, guys. I picked up this copy of Wizard issue number 26 the other day when my wife and I were driving around, and I was looking in dollar boxes at one of the local comic shops that I haven't been to in a while. And I ended up finding this reader, but still very cool copy of Wizard 26 with this Mark Bagley cover. You know what really stinks is that I had just pulled the trigger on a nice copy on eBay. So that'll kind of spoil a mail call video, but I'm still going to do it anywho. Anyway, this is got a pretty sweet gatefold Spidey cover right there by Mark Bagley. And that shows Bagley at the absolute height of his power. You get to see the webs, the detail in the figure work. You get to see Hobgoblin, which, I don't know that I really remember Bagley drawing a Hobgoblin very much. So that's pretty cool to see him draw those characters. Then you've got X-Men on the back of that for the X-Men game that came out for Super Nintendo and Genesis. And then also there's a Spider-Man Invasion of the Spider Slayers that was coming on Game Boy at the time. So what do we have inside this issue, guys? Let's take a look and see. I can beat it up a little bit since it's a reader copy. All right, here we have Harris Comics with Vampirella. Then we have Kane, and then Unit number 2. This is Dynamic Studios. It says, in the beginning, they were strong, rebellious, armed with pen in hand. And we've got Art Adams, John Bogdanov, Dan Brereton, Mark Pacella, Jimmy Palmiotti, Dan Panosian, Mark Pennington, Brandon Peterson, Lee Weeks, Jim Starlin, Brian Stelfreeze, Mike Zeck. So you've got a bunch of different people working on, and it's not comics, but it's trading cards. And it's the Creators Universe trading cards. And it says the industry's hottest artists present the rookie appearance of their ultimate creations. 100 new original characters from the minds of the cosmic mega gods. So it's cool to see a bunch of these, older stuff here. We've got for features, we've got the Spider-Man creators talking about Spidey. You've got a feature talking about the pre-crisis, crisis, and post-crisis DC Universe. Sergio Aragones and Mark Evanier talk about their work. You got John Ostrander talking about writing The Spectre. Let's dig into it and see what we've got here. Let's see. Speaking of that, it says the Spectre was conceived as a character that could give God a run for his money, and God had better been eating his Wheaties. Talking about John Ostrander on page 70. What was this? Jungle Strike. Didn't really play any of the Sega Genesis games, very many of those, and none of the Mega Drive games. You've got Magic Words here with Jim McLaughlin, and then a Pen Pals section down at the bottom of this. I actually wrote to one or two of these folks, and it always turned out to be weirdos. So I don't really know what that says about comic readers, in general, because I don't think that's a real thing. I think there's just weirdos out there. I don't think that had anything to do with the comics. Now that I've said that, I don't think that had anything to do any kind of correlation. I think it was just simply the fact that they saw a chance to write to somebody and took that opportunity. And sometimes people were weirdos. I do remember this from the ads where you would get a Wolverine watch, and every 6 weeks an X-Men watch stamped with your personal membership number, a cast alloy vehicle container, and trading card will arrive at your home. So, and that was for 2 payments of $30 a piece, plus $5.95 shipping, so $60 per watch. And here's the Birth of the Legend imprint with who does it say here? We got John Byrne, Frank Miller, Mike Mignola, Art Adams, Dave Gibbons, Jeff Darrow, and Paul Chadwick. So, let's see. Monkey Man and O'Brien. We've got Concrete. We've got the Next Men, and so many other characters. Hellboy was on there as well. And it wasn't a company. They weren't trying to be Image, and they made that clear in that particular article. They said, we're not trying to be the next Image. Penny, cat, go on somewhere. But they said the Legend imprint would kind of follow them. So if they wanted to do something, at Marvel, if they wanted to do something with another independent company, then that Legend tag would follow them. We have Doomsday Hunter Prey, Superman Doomsday Hunter Prey they're talking about. They're talking about the Gerard Jones, Hal Jordan change, which ended up turning to be that Gerard got fired from the title, and Ron Mars stepped in as the new writer, and it became Emerald Twilight. See, that's why I like reading these magazines. Dick Giordano retired. Let's see. Archie Goodwin was talking about a Legends of the Dark Knight Halloween special. So many things, guys. They talked about so much in this magazine. So here's the Spider-Man article where they're talking to Mark Bagley. They've got a timeline that goes through Spider-Man all the way through. We're just up to November of '68 right there. It still continues on, and we're up to May 1993, and we stop with Spider-Man Unlimited issue number 1. Spidey receives yet another title. This one is a quarterly. So we are at a cover of October of 1993. So that's why it stopped at 93. Here's the Crisis article where it's talking about what pre-Crisis was, where there was a whole bunch of different Earths with different Superman, Batman characters, and they're similar, but they're not the same. Then you had the Crisis on Infinite Earths, which destroyed using entropy and the Anti-Monitor a whole lot of different Earths, and kind of consolidated all the timelines. And you guys remember Sky Caps? It was kind of like Pogs, but they were Batman Nightfall Sky Caps. And then you have this really cool Robin illustration by Tom Grummett, who I agree, somebody wrote years ago that Tom Grummett could draw the best, teenage characters. If you needed Jolt from Thunderbolts or something like that to look like a teenager, he was good at getting that anatomy and that, just that look down. Then the Sergio Aragonis, Wildcats, and then we have the Amazing Art. So sometimes when you would look through here, you would see a name that years later you would recognize. I don't see anybody in here that I recognize. There's Doperdang. Let's see, then this was art from people that created their own characters. There's Happy Face Man, Mind Warp, and Razorback in this issue. Brutes and Babes with Bart Sears. John Ostrander, who is one of the nicest guys I've ever met in the comics industry. Met him at a Memphis Library Con about 2 years ago with my stepson, and he was just an absolute gentleman and a scholar, and I can't say enough about him. And I love this Jim Corrigan Spectre run that he wrote. What else? All right, here we have Larry Stroman, which to be honest, in all my years of reading comics, I had no idea what Larry Stroman looked like back in 1993. Let's see. Okay. And this ties in here because it says the X-Men's second animated season. So we're talking about way back in 1993 when X-Men, the original series, was still showing on TV. What else is here? Palmer's Picks. Star Child is the book we're talking about here. You get a contest where you could win, let's see, Copy of Amazing Spider-Man 300 was the grand prize. The first prize was a set of the 6-issue Venom Lethal Protector miniseries signed by Mark Bagley, or a set of Venom the Madness signed by Kelly Jones. Second prize was a set of 361 and 362, the first appearance and origin of Carnage, signed by Bagley, or a copy of Soul of the Hunter, signed by Mike Zeck. And the third prize was a copy of Spidey Unlimited, signed by Ron Lim, or a copy of Amazing Spider-Man 365, signed by Bagley. I've already got one of those. CBIQ. Let's see here, just a random question. Which character does not wear a bow tie? Arcade, the Ringmaster, Jimmy Olsen, or the Prankster? I am going to say the Prankster. And then Nightcrawler is a big fan of what famous 30s actor? Is it James Cagney, Edward G. Robinson, Errol Flynn, or George Raft? I want to say that was James Cagney. Let's see. 3. Nope, he liked Errol Flynn. That makes sense now that you think about it. And issue number 8. Number 8, the answer was the Ringmaster. That's right. The Ringmaster wears a top hat. He does not wear a bow tie. What else do we have here? Card price guide. And then we've got Todd McFarlane leaving Spawn for a couple of issues, and Grant Morrison and Greg Capullo took over. You have Ghost Rider number 43 right here. Who was that? You know, what's funny, though, is I would almost bet that that is actually the cover to Ghost Rider number 10, not Ghost Rider 43. Good and Cheap. You have Legion of Superheroes, the third series by Paul Levitz, and by Keith Giffen, Steve Lytle, and Larry Malstad. Let's see who else we got. So now we have the infamous Wizard comic price guide, showing off a issue of Superman in Action Comics. They had gone to color by this point. A 2-page spread for Gen 13 that was coming. The book was you know, and at this point it's over 200 pages thick, so it just continued to grow each and every month, it almost seemed like. And then you had listings for comic shows and conventions, Motor City Comic Con back in 1993. And you've got some comic art here. Looks like it was what did that say? Oh, Fight or Die from Harris Comics. So you've got this artwork here, and then now they're talking about Wizard issue number 27. So interesting, along with the head of my cat, Penny. Hi, Penny. That was Wizard issue number 26. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick overview of what that magazine looked like in October. Cover dated October 1993. So thanks for watching, guys and gals, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.